Alright folks, here's the deal. Riding on the highway as a beginner can be quite nerve-wracking. This is something that you don't hear very often in your MSF or other places, but you know, your primal monkey brain is not used to being on a motorcycle traveling at 75 miles per hour. It's a lot of stimulus, you know, and people don't like talking about the fact that getting on the highway is a little frightening for beginners. But in today's video, I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to build up your confidence and get a little bit more comfortable being on the highway, and some tips and tricks about riding on the highway. So, if you're a beginner rider and you're just getting started, getting up to speed, going a little bit quicker on your motorcycle, take it slow, take it easy. Don't get on your bike and immediately start trying to do 100 miles an hour, because that's going to be a recipe for disaster, you know? Your brain is going to give you a signal of what's a comfortable speed, and over time you'll get more and more comfortable with it. Now, if you're on a naked bike like this MT-09 SP, you'll feel the wind a lot more than if you are on something like a Ninja 400, a fared bike with a windshield, right? So keep in mind that sometimes on certain motorcycles it can feel much faster than you're actually going as well. But the biggest thing I would say is to find an area like this. What we're going to do is we're going to stick on the feeder road, and then we're going to loop around and jump on the highway, and then jump right off the highway, right? And this is a great opportunity for you as a rider as well to manage traffic situations. You know, you got people trying to merge in and out of the lanes, and it's a great chance for you to get a little bit more comfortable with riding your bike. Always treat every ride as an opportunity to learn and develop. So here in America, at least in Texas as well, most highway systems have what's known as a feeder road, or a side road, or an access road. As you can see here, there's an intersection right there, and there's this road right here that feeds into the highway. It's called the feeder road, right? And what you want to do is get your motorcycle up to maybe third or fourth gear, start slowly accelerating with it, right? Hopefully you're not in an MT-09 for your first bike, but you know, fifth gear, start feeling comfortable, go with the flow of traffic here. We can see we're merging onto the highway, and you know, we're slowly building up the speed. Sometimes you end up going a little slower on the highway too, because there's congestion and those sort of things. And for your first time, jump on the highway like this and stay on the right lane here. This is going to give you two really good opportunities. Number one, it's going to allow you to deal with situations like this where people are merging in and out. And number two, it'll let you feel very comfortable being on the highway for a little bit amount of time, as long as you want to be, right here. And you stick in the right lane, pick yourself up to speed, always cover your front brake too, and feel what it's like going at this speed, right? And then you can exit off the highway and you can loop back and do it all again. Take it slow, take it simply, go a little bit easier. One thing you'll find with riding on the highway is that it's actually easier than riding in congested intersection areas and suburban traffic, because everybody's going in the same direction to travel, you know? If everybody's going in the same direction, it makes it a lot easier. And when the motorcycle is up to a certain amount of speed, it actually handles a little bit better too, because it's just trying to keep itself upright. The faster the bike goes, the less it wants to tip over, the more you'll notice that it just wants to resist leaning over. So we're back here where we started, looping around and going at it another time. I actually think I'm going to skip this traffic a little bit. Do ourselves a favor here, because I don't want to get stuck behind everybody. We will reduce down the 360. Filter out a little bit. Oh, there we go. Pull this back. Look at that. You're on a motorcycle, folks. Use it. So we're back here where we were originally, and this, you know, I just picked this spot, but typically it's a U-turn. You can kind of keep going round and round. This one here has a controlled turn lane, so we just have to sit here for a little bit. But you're going to just keep doing that over and over. And what you can start to do is, once you feel a little more confident with jumping on the highway, jumping off the highway, start staying on the highway a little bit longer, right? Because what you need to do is be able to switch lanes over and get yourself a little bit actually more in the mix of the highway, right? So we're gonna loop around, and then we're gonna jump on the highway and stick on the highway and talk about some strategies when you're actually out there mixing it up, going 70, 80 miles an hour. It's a really good opportunity as well when you're riding your bike, doing the U-turns, to practice some trail braking. One thing you'll notice too is, depending on the area, it can get real dicey in certain situations. Like, check out people trying to cross 2 different lanes all at the same time. It gives you a lot of opportunity to practice some of your traffic management skills in a controlled area. Because sometimes on the feeder roads, people can go really damn fast for no frickin' reason. And then people make last minute decisions, like this guy looks like he was braking, maybe trying to go over there, this guy's trying to come over here. And again, because you're going a little faster, it can feel a little scarier, but don't go faster than you feel comfortable. You know, you can absolutely just go the speed limit of 55 miles an hour here. And don't have to feel like you're, you know, going 70. But one thing you'll notice once we get out on the highway is, even though the speed limit might say 65, everybody's cruising at 80 or 85 sometimes, you know? And that can be a little jarring. All right, so we're approaching our U-turn here, watching that guy, making sure he doesn't come in our lane. I'm gonna trail it into this Yui, because that's a fun way to do it. Watch this intersection here. All right, we're back onto that feeder road that's gonna lead us into the highway here. So, let's say you've been practicing getting on and off the highway, you feel very comfortable with it, you've seen how people kind of merge in and out and that sort of thing. What you're gonna do now, after you've been comfortable with that, is you're gonna get on the highway and stay on the highway, right? Because it's very rare that you have to jump onto the highway and just immediately jump off, right? So, one strategy here is stick to the left so you're closer to the lane you wanna be in. Use your mirrors, don't turn your head as much on the highway, right? Because people can brake very suddenly, and because you're going faster, you won't have enough time to stop, right? And then I like to, because I'm on a motorcycle, and even a little Ninja 400, they can absolutely go 80, 90 miles an hour. I like being all the way in the left lane as much as possible, because people are often trying to go faster. Yes, the most correct way to do this would be in the center lane, and then using the left lane to pass, right? That's the optimal way of being in traffic. But sometimes, you know, I don't know if it's just here in Austin, Texas, but people really just don't follow those rules, man. They really don't. And sometimes you'll get stuck behind people in the left lane, in the middle lane. So even though the left lane should be used for passing only, and I completely agree with that, sometimes it is just not possible to do that. So now let's say you are comfortable, you're on the highway, you're trying your best to flow with traffic, right? The biggest thing you need to do on the highway is keep following distance, right? Because everybody's going faster, you really need to give yourself as much cushion as possible. So with this truck in front of me, I like to keep 2 to 3 seconds. We are, you know, about 1, 2, maybe 2 seconds off of this guy right now. So I feel pretty safe right here. It's really not too bad. But what you'll notice is how close he's driving to the car in front of him. And when you keep proper following distance like this, you'll notice that people try to cut in front of you all the damn time. And that's something you're gonna have to be defensive and reactive to, because people, number one, they're not gonna see you. And number two, they are going to try to get in front of you, and you need to continue that space distance, right? Like, what? Look how close that Focus is to that car over there, and that car just started braking. He is half a second or less off of that guy. That's not really what you want to be doing. You really want to create this kind of space. And what you'll find is, oftentimes, it makes a lot more sense to use your brakes than your throttle. People love to talk about this idea that's like, oh yeah, I use my bike's power to get out of the way.
Quick break from your regularly scheduled content. This Wednesday, August 7th, we are starting the new Yami Noob live stream. We're gonna be doing every Wednesday at 6 p.m. It's a brand new format. We are super excited about it. So make sure you stay tuned at 6 p.m. this coming Wednesday and all future Wednesdays for the Yami Noob live stream. If you wanna participate, join the Discord server over on yaminoob.co, and you can get behind the scenes access, ask me questions, and join on a deeper level and keep the conversation going. Don't miss it.
You know, in a situation like this where we are really congested, I say really congested, it's all relative, right? Like, there's no way for me to get through all these people on the highway right now, right? So the best thing you can do is just keep the following distance. We're going at 72 miles an hour, so me going 85 or 90 is not going to meaningfully subtract from my arrival time to wherever I'm trying to go. So I'm cool, man. I'm cool. I'm going 74. I'm fine. Like, you know, I got good distance between the guy in front of me. I'm staying in the left lane just because I see it's flowing a little bit better. I don't want to be in the center lane and be clogged up, because the biggest thing you want to do on a bike is create distance and flow through traffic within reason, right? Since we are doing above the speed limit right now, flowing with everybody, there's really no need for me to try to speed or get ahead of people. It's not going to do me any favors. And the only time that I recommend even speeding on a highway is if you got a ton, I mean a ton of free real estate in front of you, and you want to have some fun and enjoy your bike, and obviously, you know, rev it out a little bit, because that's what I feel like on-ramps and highways are for. You know, you can find an area that obviously doesn't have this much traffic coming and going, and you know, you get to use the bike a little bit. You bought the bike, I know you guys want to rev it out and use it, and that is a great way to use it on the highway, but I really don't recommend doing the whole kind of like, you know, filtering between traffic and going crazy on the highway thing. So check it out. Right here on the highway too, you know, you want to stick in the left-hand position of the lane, but look how crappy that tarmac is over there. Look at all the crap in it. So I'm now here in the right because, you know, it makes more sense to do that. So now see, the traffic is clearing up a little bit. I'm going to stick in the center because I got a little more space. But you see how easy this is, right? And you don't need to shift gears as much on the highway either, which is a blessing to beginner riders because it means you have to use less of your brain to figure out where you're trying to be in the RPMs and stuff. Like usually 5th and 6th gear, even on a 400, is totally fine. Sometimes to pass on a little bike, you want to drop several gears and go for it, but even if you just wait a little bit in 6th gear on a little bike, you can still make a pass. Even a small bike has plenty of power to get around people and usually has top speeds of about 110, 115 miles an hour. So you got plenty of headroom to move through the traffic. I really recommend changing lanes as little as possible on the highway. The reason I recommend that is twofold. Number one, if you're just moving around the lanes for no reason, you are in fact creating traffic, because what happens is when people are jumping between the lanes, it creates what's known as an accordion effect with everybody else, right? So someone jumps over, the car behind him stops, and everybody else stops, and it just creates this like kind of micro traffic jam that makes it worse for everybody. And the safer you can be by just sticking in one lane, the better it's going to be for you, right? You want to be in one lane, cruising, and making sure you're going the appropriate distance. The second thing is, I really don't recommend lane splitting on the highway unless everybody is completely stopped up and you're going to make a lot of progress doing so. You know, like here, for example, we're going 65 miles an hour. There is no reason for me to filter between cars. I'm not going to gain any time by doing that, and it's just going to make things way more dangerous for me. I've seen in California, you know, people will lane split going like 70, 80 miles an hour. I just really think that's dangerous, and there's really no reason to do that at those kind of speeds. But again, if everybody's stopped up and you're doing it responsibly and safely, I think go for it. You know, if you're going at least 20 or 30 miles an hour and everybody's literally going 5 miles an hour, that's a big, big difference, right? But you see, the highway can be very calm. It doesn't have to be frenetic. It doesn't have to be crazy. And the more you practice it, the calmer and easier it's going to get, right? But you just have to be cool about it, you know? Like, keep a good distance. Be mindful of people. Like, okay, so this is a situation on the highway, right? I'm here in the center lane. I got a guy right there in the left hand. What you don't want to do is sit in someone's blind spot on a motorcycle, because they really already can't see you. And if you're here on the bike and you're just cruising behind someone in their rear three quarters, you're begging for them to just, you know, take the lane right in front of you, and then you're going to be one of those guys on TikTok or Instagram be like, bro, how did he not see me? And it's like, well, you put yourself in a bad position, you know? But right here is where I like to be on the highway, you know? I'm in the left-hand side of the lane. I got 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 2.5 seconds to the car in front of me. I'm cruising. I got my finger over the brake lever. And you'd be amazed at how if you just practice responsible, normal motorcycle riding and you ride somewhat reasonably, it's all of a sudden, like, things don't happen to you as much. I have this theory that people who often say things like, oh man, like, you know, people are driving like idiots all the time, people are doing this, X, Y, and Z. If you have someone in your life that's constantly complaining about traffic, they are probably the problem, because it doesn't happen to normal people. Like, I go out and drive on traffic and the highways, and I don't ever really run into crazy situations because I put myself in a good position. And that's what I'd love to see you guys do. If you're out there practicing on the highways, doing what you got to do, getting to work, to school, wherever you're going, that's the way you want to do it. Good following distance, good lane positioning, sticking in the center as much as possible, using the left when you need to get around people, and then exiting when you need to. All right, so for exiting, check this out. We're going to take this exit up here. We're going to put our blinker on, check our blind spot, get into the lane as soon as possible, and you'll notice people start to slow down a lot. But what can happen on exits is people can do this crazy like crisscrossing thing, right? So what you want to do is, before you're ever at the exit, already keep an eye on what's going on in this right-hand lane over here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put my blinker on. I'm observing this RAV4 in front of me, and I'm already drifting over, and I'm already here where I need to be, and I'm going to stick to the right-hand side of the lane. That gives me more space in case this guy just wants to come over, or if someone doesn't see me. It gives me a little bit of an out, because right here I obviously don't have an escape if someone wanted to just pile drive right into me. Keep a mind out for traffic signs as well. I see this a lot with beginner riders. They don't see the chevron signs, or like the fact that the lanes are turning and they go wide. You know, use those brakes, lean in, and then once you're off the highway, you're gonna notice that if you've been on for a while, everything starts to feel a lot slower. This happens a lot if you go to the track, or, you know, I remember when I did the Texas Mile event, my whole freaking world was warped. But all of a sudden, riding around in slower speed traffic like this is going to feel kind of weird. If you've been on the highway for like 10 minutes, you're like, oh man, I feel like I'm going so slow, because your sense of speed is so much more elevated on a motorcycle, right? But the important thing is to not take the speed from the highway back over here, right? Like, you definitely want to take it easy when you're on these side streets, you know, and back in more suburban or urban settings. But I mean, guys, that's about it. The highway's not that complicated, but what you have to do is ramp up slowly over time and just really practice following distance and safer riding, because you are going much faster on the highway, and if you were to come off, it's obviously going to be a lot less pretty than if you were to just come off, you know, and have a little slow speed spill on a road like this. So guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you learned something about highway riding. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see any other type of riding or me explaining things to you guys. I really enjoy doing these sort of videos. And remember, this is a giveaway, MT09 SP. This is a really sweet bike. I really wish I could keep it. Kind of thinking about getting one for myself. My heart just has a lot of love for all the motorcycles, and this one is a real gem. So with all that being said, thanks so much for checking out today's video. Catch you guys in the next one. See you later.
Well, boys, that's the end of this video. But you know what's really cool? Our members over on yamanoob.co are the reason that we can keep this show going. I have a ton of fun doing this, and without those members, it would simply be impossible. So as a way of giving back, I give away these awesome motorcycles. This is an MT09 SP that's up for grabs right now on yamanoob.co. So join as a member, click that link down below on yamanoob.co. But while you're doing that, click this link right over here and keep watching some more videos. Learn more about motorcycling, have some fun with me, watch some cool memes, and maybe I will also elucidate you to some of the finest cultural touchstones in motorcycling.